What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu, Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, bring you incredible guests from all over the world, so sit back, relax, and tune in. My next guest is a lifestyle wellness coach. She is also the creator of the 6 Pillars of Wellness. Please welcome Jaclyn Vitale. Jaclyn, welcome to the show.
Hello, and first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Well, thank you for being patient with me. As everybody knows, anyone that's watching on my social media, I was sick last week and I had to reschedule. So thank you very much. That was no fun, but we are here today and we're going to make this happen.
Keep moving forward. It's all that matters.
So tell me about what got you into, I like every coach is different. I talk to a lot of coaches and everyone is so completely different. What got you into being a lifestyle wellness coach? Because there's always something, a pivotal moment in someone's life that makes you say, I need to do this.
100%. It's so funny. One of my clients actually said that to me one day. She's like, I feel like every trainer coach has a story. I'm like, of course, that's what made us realize we want to help everybody. But for me personally, and it's funny because it's the start that actually fired me to do all this is actually coming full circle now.
Okay.
So I was very anorexic and depressed when I was in high school. I was 110 pounds and I just tortured myself physically and all of the things, And so over time, finally, I got a grip and I was like, okay, you know what? If I'm going to torture myself or be this hands-on about all of these things, then I need to actually research the science behind nutrition and fitness and figure out the right way to do it. And then, I started eating a little bit more normally, figuring out the right ways to nourish my body personally, learning that there's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Right.
Personally, the movements that move me. So for some people, it might be HIIT cardio. The next person, it might be strength training.
Yeah.
And all of those things kind of made me realize that we can live in a very brainwashed world, stigmatized, and I don't want anybody to ever feel the way that I felt or think the way that I felt and know that there's no solution, because there is an answer and it's just, you need a little bit of proper guidance. So I promised myself one day I would never live a day knowing I wasn't making sure someone else didn't feel the way that I felt. It's coming full circle now because I was diagnosed with endometriosis these past few months.
Oh, no.
So I now realize all those physical things I was torturing myself about were actually just side effects I was not listening to.
Oh, wow.
And I think if anything, that's taking my passion from where it was up here all the way to up there. Because now I'm like, yeah, we need to, our body's our temple. My whole body was trying to speak to my mind and I ignored it. And, it makes my preaching so much stronger now.
Yeah. So let's unpack some of that. So anorexia in high school. So did you think that you were fat?
I just felt uncomfortable. Everything I ate, I felt big. My legs looked wrong. Things didn't feel right. Clothes fit weird. Other girls had certain things.
Yeah, because that's like a pretty serious thing to deal with when you're in high school.
It's challenging. There were moments that I skipped going to lunch and sat in teachers' rooms because I just wasn't comfortable. Like I just started to have anxiety as an individual in my being, and I didn't want to be around other people. And just the things that I was thinking about as a teenage girl compared to everybody else, I couldn't relate to anybody.
Yeah. Did your parents know that you were struggling with that?
I don't think so. I hid it very well. I had a beautiful routine down.
Okay.
It was, burn everything you ate before dinner, and then dinner was everything that counted. And then Sundays I would binge and then take a laxative and start my week over. It was a scary world.
So did you ever deal, because that's also like a mental thing too.
Oh, yeah.
Physical thing. Because that goes deep.
So that was where the 6 Pillars of Wellness came into play, which is what I have created in my company. And life is always going to be chaotic. You're not going to be able to control what life is throwing at you and things you're facing. So I then realized in these moments that I need to take control of the things that I can handle and positively manipulate my life. So I said, all right, well, what are the things that I need to focus on continuously to keep myself grounded and clear-headed so that I'm invincible with whatever's thrown and I'm able to handle it. And that's where I created the concept called the 6 pillars of wellness.
Yeah.
Well-being is ultimately made of our physical, nutritional, spiritual, emotional, intellectual, and occupational well-being.
Yeah.
And not one is more important than the other. We, just like a flower, we need to tend to each pillar completely, or else, if the flower's not getting the proper soil, sunlight, water, oxygen, all 4 are going to fall apart.
Yep.
6 pillars, they all need to be properly nourished. And so how I work with my clientele now to make sure they never have those thoughts and those feelings is simply helping them identify one task that would fulfill that pillar.
Yeah.
And the ultimate goal is we work together weekly to get them doing all 6 tasks every day. And it might take an hour out of their day, but that's all they need to be like, all right, you know what? Like, I just heard these terrible news and my job might be falling apart, but like, I'm good. I know what I need to do. I'm going to keep moving forward. Like you said, getting sick, just keep moving forward.
Yeah, I believe like you have to keep all those. It's a little bit. I have a different mentality, but you got to keep everything kind of balanced in your life, and it's a delicate balance, because some days you're going to put a little bit more energy over here, and other days you're going to put more energy over here. But the more that you strive to keep your 6 pillars, or just the different pillars in your life balanced, I think the more well adjusted and healthier we are, like mentally, physically, and all, like everything. So I'm like, it's not the same thing, but in my mind, I think it's kind of similar, but
you're right.
We have like your life, your family, your relationship, your financials, like your spiritual, all these things have to, you have to just really strive to keep in balance, because otherwise we're just not like a complete human being.
Yes.
And a fulfilled complete human being.
Precisely. And you do bring up a valid point, because I say, I want to see you do all 6 tasks every single day. And the fact of the matter is, there are going to be some on that day where maybe 3 are just a little bit more important than the other 3. And that's also where I've kind of created this concept of some of those tasks are glass and some of those tasks are plastic. And if you do drop the plastic ones that day, there might be a scratch, but you'll be okay. You can't drop the glass ones though. So, if you're in a compromised position that day and you're like, I have 5 appointments today. There's no way I'm going to be able to do all 6 tasks. So I say, all right, out of those 6, what 3 at least need to be done to stay sane? Right. I know I need to tend to my occupational. My journaling task needs to get done. My nutritional task needs to get done. The rest can wait if they need to.
Yeah.
So I do really agree with that contradiction towards me, because it is tough how to do all 6 every day.
Yeah, I don't know if it's it's not necessarily a contradiction. It's just kind of like that
Right.
Gotta strive for the balance, because that's where it keeps us very stable.
Yeah.
I want to. So you said things have come full circle, and you just got diagnosed with endometriosis. What did that look like for you? Because any women that are listening right now might be like, because that's something we don't talk about enough.
Yeah.
So what does that mean to you, and how it came full circle?
It's been an interesting year, to say the least. Between intimacy, haven't been able to do much of that, and then all the way to the point of now basic survival needs: peeing, passing bowels, eating, talking with a loud voice, like walking. Everything is pretty much compromised in my life. Yeah. So fortunately, yesterday we sat down and we finally came up with a surgical plan and everything like that. But the biggest thing I would say to any girl listening right now is, I was on birth control for 8 years and I went off of it because I like to do things as naturally as possible. Mm-hmm. And if it weren't for me going off, I would have never found out about this. And I would have found out much later when I was trying to have children.
Yeah.
And I told many of my clients around the time when I was doing it, they may want to consider the same if they were in the same situation.
Right.
And two people called me back last week. These are my OG clients. They have PCOS and they're thanking me because they know and they can figure it out and make sure their fertility is not affected. And so that's another position or situation where those were OG clients when Vitale company even started. And now they're coming back and telling me this happening to me. And full circle wise, I am being challenged. I mean, some dark demon thoughts, I'm lowest weight. I'm lower than I was when I was anorexic. And so it's scary. It's a lot of fears. And it's funny because I have to practice what I'm preaching, right? It's all coming full circle. The whole thing that made me start this company is now the only thing that's pretty much getting me to survive every day at this point.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. I know that's you're being very vulnerable with that, but I think it is something that the issues that women deal with are not talked about enough. And so even if we just brush the surface and 50% of my audience is women, and they hear this, something for them to think about, perhaps get off the birth control and, get that checked out because they might not know what's going on. Right.
Yeah.
That's something that they don't really, when you go for a pap smear, they don't see.
No. So that's the hardest thing. And that's very important to know as well is you don't see this on a CT. You don't see this on a vaginal ultrasound. And the only way you see it on a regular ultrasound is if you're already stage 3 or 4.
Oh, wow.
So unfortunately, I lit up, but you don't want to see anything. And, that's the scarier part, though, is you still have to go in to be diagnosed and you need to get it taken out.
Yeah.
And everybody just has to believe you. You have to fight for yourself. You have to advocate for yourself. And it's really just every resource that caused me to start my company is testifying me. And it's also tough because until recently, I'm a one-man show and two people are helping and, it's scary, but everyone is a great community. Everyone's amazing.
Well, that is fantastic. You're going to do just fine. You're going to be great and everything is going to come back to normal and it will be fantastic. So talk to us about what kind of clients, who is your avatar?
My basic avatar is usually someone who is embarking on a new journey in life. And that can be anything from just graduating from college to starting a new job or to really just finding themselves. I find a lot of people gravitating towards me. My concept, it helps you really connect with you as a being and not just your physical or nutritional goals. It takes away from all that and just says, all right, hey, who are you as a person? How are we going to make you better? So a lot of people who are seeking that, source of enlightenment and ready to just change their life, not just the vanity side of things, that's who's more or less coming to me.
I love that. Can you share with us a success story? Not naming names, obviously, but someone that you've worked with that, what they were looking for and how things turned out for them as they worked with you.
Yeah. I have a very beautiful story, actually. She is close in age to me, and she was, I'm going to keep this even lighter, sexually assaulted in college. After that, she was petrified for anybody to come on to her. So she gained about 60, 70 pounds to divert that attention away from herself. Oh, yeah. And she was my size. So it was a big lift or gain. And so we got together and, we said, all right, let's look at your 6 pillars. Emotionally, you need to go see a therapist. Of course, this case scenario was a little bit stronger, but you said you need to go get a therapist. I'm going to focus on your nutrition. I'm going to focus on your fitness.
Yeah.
I need you to find one thing that challenges you mentally and is different from your work or whatever it is, so you can focus on that.
Yeah.
And then, start focusing on your career and just where you want to be in a few years. Let's check in about.
What about the spiritual piece? Do people, I mean, was she spiritual, or is that something that you asked her to tap into?
She was not that spiritual at the time, and it was hard for her. So what I always say in this case is two things. One, what is one thing you do that makes you feel like you're floating on midair?
Mm.
And if they can't figure that out, which usually they can, I tell them we're going to start with them standing outside, looking into the sun with their eyes shut for 15 seconds because it releases serotonin and it increases your serotonin levels.
Yeah.
So that will eventually lead to, well, I want to learn how to take deeper breaths through that. Well, can I do longer than 15 seconds? Does it have to be 15 seconds?
Yeah.
That was where she started. And now she's all the things, all the natural things, all the deep breathing, just, connecting with her body on a spiritual mind, body, soul level. And she has lost every single pound.
Oh, wow.
She is about to do a body competition.
Good for her.
She looks incredible. She's making a ton of money. She's loving what she's doing. I'm so happy for her.
And what about like a relationship? Has she opened herself up to meeting someone?
Yes, she is open to it. I think she'll always be a bit more critical, but she's put in the work that's necessary. And whenever she's consistent with it, she's great.
Well, good. That's a great story. I mean, that was a great example of someone you worked with, because that's a pretty rough start.
Yeah.
Having that kind of history is not always the easiest to get over. But if someone's listening to this and they're like, oh, you know what? I'm in a place in my life that I need Jaclyn. I connected with her story, and, I just love her personality and what she's all about. What does that look like to them? How do they reach out to you? Like, is there an intro call? Like, what does that look like, the process?
Right. So my website is Vitale, Vitale.com, or all of my social media platforms, which are also my name, connect to my website. And in there, you can schedule a free consultation. So it's marked off for 30 minutes. If we need more time, it's always available. And essentially what we'll do is go over the services I provide, how it can change their life, and which service they feel will be most accommodating to them. And then we go through about a 2-page questionnaire that gives me all the information I need to know about their lifestyle, their goals, their wants, their needs, their occupation. And then what I do is, based on that information, I'll create their fitness or nutrition plan to effortlessly bring them to their goals without feeling the stress of everything else going on in life. And no matter what plan they decide on, they do get their 6 pillars of wellness plan as well.
Excellent.
And then it's followed by weekly check-ins for the accountability factor.
And then how long is that for typically?
So the nutrition plans are a flat fee, and then they just pay for the weekly check-ins moving forward. The fitness programs are a monthly fee, and it's on auto renewal for hopefully forever.
Yeah, right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You guys, I'm going to put her link in the show notes. So if you connected with Jaclyn today and are needing some direction in your life and just getting a hold of those 6 pillars that are going to give you a well-rounded, fulfilled life, do not hesitate. Click that link. Go follow her on social media. And just reach out to her if you are looking for a little bit more direction in your life. Jaclyn, this is the part of the show where I like to ask for last words of wisdom or advice. What would you like to leave with us today?
You are your own priority. Live your life for you. Do not let everything else that's going on around you control your life or your chaos. Make every single day about you, your well-being. And, even my boyfriend finds the 6 pillars of wellness corny, but when he does them, he's enlightened beyond words, and making smarter business decisions and life decisions and relationship decisions, everything. So all it takes is just 6 tasks every day, and it'll literally change your life if you just want to try it on your own at home. But live for you. Don't make the occupational pillar the number 1 pillar. All 6 of them are just as important.
It's not corny. Tell your boyfriend I said that. Okay.
I will.
Well, I thank you I love those words of advice. It is not corny. We do have to have balance in our life. And if you are off, too much of anything is not good, right? So if you're investing all of yourself in one area of your life, I feel like this is where people get sick, they get injured. There's a lot of things that can happen to them mentally that it's important. Those 6 tasks every day you're talking about is a great habit to create to keep your life in balance. Like,
Yes.
not corny. Tell your boyfriend I said that. But Jaclyn, thank you so much for being vulnerable today and sharing your story. And I love what you do, helping people find a better, well-balanced, healthy lifestyle, which is key to living a more well-rounded, fulfilled life. So thank you
Yes.
very much for what you do.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, review, comment, share, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.